Alright, thanks for joining me. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you some toy finds and deals I discovered on my way to the Joker movie. And then I'm also going to be sharing my review or thoughts about the Joker movie. There will be spoilers in the review, so if you don't want anything spoiled, don't watch it. But if you did see it or you're curious about it, you don't mind getting spoiled, please watch and let me know what you thought versus how I perceived it. Alright, so first up in the toys is I went to Marshall's, which is a branch, I believe, of TJ Maxx, and it's like a Ross type store if you have those around, where they mostly sell like clothes, but you can find a few toys. This would normally be like $20 or $25 at Walmart. I found it for 10. So for these figures, 10 is pretty cool in my opinion. Then I went over to the Walgreens nearby and found one of their latest exclusives, which is the Emma Frost from the X-Men line. She's also known as the White Queen, though now I guess she's wearing black. I don't really read the modern stuff as much, although I'm trying to catch up on Hoopla when I can. I have a video about Hoopla. You can read up to like 8 free digital comic graphic novels if you have an active library card and it's in your library system. I was hoping to find the New Mutants Danny Moonstar, aka Mirage, but she was not in the ones in my area. I also needed to, if I spent $20, I would get $5 in points added to my account. So this was $19.99, and in Delaware it's no sales tax, so I was forced into buying this. But I don't usually buy these. I think of these Funko Pops as sort of like the Star Trek Tribbles, where you buy a couple here and there, and then suddenly you have 30 or 60, and you don't even really like most of them. But for Dark Phoenix, I made an exception. The 422nd, my understanding is it should be a Walmart exclusive that glows in the dark. This is not a Walmart exclusive, but is the 422nd, and it does not glow in the dark. So they also might have Cable, Archangel, Quicksilver, Storm with Mohawk, Sabretooth, or Psylocke at your Walgreens if you can find them. They're all over that store, by the way, not just in one area. Or at least in the store I found it. Anyway, so those are my toy finds. Hopefully that helps you. On to my review and thoughts of the Joker. And I am by no means a pro at this, so I may go off in tangents. I'm going to try to keep it cohesive and organized. I have some notes here. There are going to be plenty of spoilers in this, so stop watching if you don't want things ruined for you. I went into it having seen nothing but previews. I have not seen or read any reviews about it. These are all my own ideas. I went into this based on the previews. I figured they were going with a Joker that was not like the comics. In the comics, like the stuff I've read, he gets altered by chemicals, whether it's falling into a vat that Batman tried to save him but didn't and whatnot. And then becomes the Joker with like permanently altered green hair and the white skin and the mental issues. Based on the previews, it looked to me like they were going with more of a realistic, like psychologically driven, where the Joker gets mentally abused to the extent where he becomes the Joker, and then that's what twists him, not some chemicals. And I didn't expect to see Batman or anything, and I cut it a lot of slack going into it. I'm like, if it doesn't have Batman, that's gonna be a challenge. And if they're making it realistic, where he's not already a full-fledged Joker, and I figured he wouldn't be full-fledged till like the end. Then it's not going to be like the Heath Ledger movie, I should say, where he's a criminal mastermind kicking all sorts of butt and doing really nasty things. So I went into that thinking that's how it would go, and I feel I was 100% correct. So I was not disappointed in that, and that made me like the movie. A small note on the music. The era of the movie seems kind of set in like the 50s, maybe up to possibly the 70s, based on like the automobiles running around. And the music, I don't think we hear any music that's past the 70s, so it's clearly not present day. It's going for a past vibe. That's all I've got to say about the music, but I thought it was good. The themes in it are very suspenseful. Like, you hear a lot of dread music, like some bad stuff's about to happen. But I would not say it's like on the edge of your seat suspense, like in The Dark Knight, when the Joker would do something and you knew it was coming, and that music was so suspenseful, and I literally would be on the edge of my seat. I can still remember that. It's not like that. You're still like, oh, what's getting ready to happen now? I feel bad for this guy, and like, there's anticipation, but it's not edge of the seat. It's more like you're getting ready to cringe. Um, On to the how you should view this movie, in my opinion. If you're a comic book reader, or if you're someone that has the basic understanding of Joker and the Batman and everything, kind of throw that out the window, and I think you'll have a better time. You have to view this as a what they call a DC Elseworlds story, which Marvel has their own versions, which are called like what ifs, where it's similar stories but not 100% accurate, or maybe it's 60% or something. And in that sense, yeah, this could easily be a DC Elseworld story where they decided, yeah, he's not going to be altered by chemicals. It's more like this could really happen to somebody. Also, my understanding is that the story I believe as the accurate timeline or whatnot is that the Red Hood, or the Joker, becomes the Red Hood in order to like help some criminals out. He's like the inside man, and then like stuff goes wrong. There's an animated movie about it. It's out there if you want to find it. And the job goes wrong, and he gets hurt, and Batman's involved, similar to the 1989 Batman movie, and he like falls into the chemicals and whatnot. But in a sense, Batman's failure created the Joker. That's not here because in this movie, Bruce Wayne is in it, but he's like the kid that just before his parents get gunned down, and then he becomes Batman. So Joker's already an adult in this by then. And if I really was a purist, or viewed this movie as it needs to be pure, that would bother me. But you gotta go into it with, in this storyline, the Joker comes before the Batman, and I liked what they did. I'll talk about that later. As far as how he's connected to Bruce Wayne. But if you can look at it as an Elseworlds, I think you're going to have a lot more fun with it. And with all the different versions of DC Comics in media right now, with like the Arrow CW, and there's the DC has their own channel now. If you go on and pay, like you can watch Teen Titans has a show. It's called Titans. It has like the original Teen Titans and various other shows on it. I like that show a lot. But with all the different versions out there right now, it's basically like everything's an Elseworld, except the comics themselves, which even they are sometimes, like New 52, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, looking at it like that, it's not comic accurate. You're just going to be having a better time. Like I expected, the theme is for realism, and they're focused all on the Joker's origin. This is truly only about the Joker. I mean, you got a little bit of the Waynes in there, but that's just, kind of to keep us focused on that. It truly is in the DC, a version of the DC world. They do go with it being all psychologically based for him becoming the Joker. I'll get into that more. And I guess this is when I'm going to do it. I'm going to try to break down how the movie went. It starts off with he's like this struggling actor that wants to be a comedian, and he's one of those people that hold the signs out front of the stores you probably saw in the previews. Like he's got the going out of business sign, and he's trying to direct people into it, and he's dressed up as a clown and views it as acting. And these kids come along and steal his sign. He has to go chase them, and of course they lead him into a trap and then beat the hell out of him. I apologize if that offends you. But that's part, like you can already see, this is like his life. He's got a bad job and getting beat up, and he gets reprimanded for his boss basically thinks he stole the sign, or he blames him for losing the sign, and is going to take it out of his check. Before I get started, I don't want to forget this. One theme an overlying theme, in my opinion, of the movie that does connect to the comics is the Gotham City itself is bad. And I like that. It's in both universes, it's like the city itself is alive, and makes the Joker happen. And in my opinion, then, man, the Waynes, in one form or another, try generation after generation to step up and stop it. Well, it's very similar in this. You got the city. They start off like, I think the truly first thing that happens in the movie is the Joker's getting his makeup on and he's getting ready to go out and work. And he's listening to the news to talk about all the bad stuff going on. Like, it's anything you'd expect. Like, there's like a trash strike and garbage is piling up. There's these super rats. They're so big they call them super rats going around. It's just dreadful. And like, the Joker is putting on his makeup and crying, and I think he might be kind of laughing at the same time. Later, they explain that he's got a mental condition where he laughs. He doesn't know how to express his emotions, basically, and he laughs uncontrollably at inappropriate times. I viewed it as basically he sees the world in the opposite way that a normal person should. He carries a card on him, like if you've ever been in a parking lot, like back in college, I was in a parking lot and like a deaf person once came up asking for money, and the way they ask is they pull out a card that explains their situation. He has a card like that. Like if he's laughing uncontrollably on a bus that's awkward, he hands the card to the person that's having a problem with him trying to explain. Now that happens numerous times in the movie, and I believe only that one time is he able to find the card in time before people beat the heck out of him. So that happens periodically through the movie, and you feel bad for him, and it doesn't help him at all, obviously. He lives with his mother, and he kind of idolizes this Johnny Carson type character that owns his talk show. He's a comedian, and he's played by Robert De Niro. He has fantasies of going on there, performing his act, which he has not developed yet, and his idol thinks he's awesome and wishes he was his son and stuff like that. He also has these there's a woman down the hall in the apartment that he has like a romantic interest in, and they try to portray that like he starts developing something with her, but you can kind of see it a mile away. It's on his head and it's not really happening. Which just makes it even more bitter when he realizes the truth. But anyway, he's also working at that clown gig, and like I said earlier, his job, they hold him responsible for losing the sign. One of the other clowns basically forces a .38 revolver on him, saying you need to take this as protection for those kids beating him up. The guy acts like he's his buddy, he's looking out for him, but he also says he's going to have to get paid back for that gun. So really all the guy's doing is trying to sell this gun to this guy and get money, and whether or not he's truly looking out for the guy is unclear. What happens is the Joker goes to like a children's hospital, and he's performing his clown act, and the handgun falls out, and it gets back to the boss, and he gets fired. And the boss reveals that the guy that forced the gun on him ratted him out about the gun. I personally think the guy wouldn't have, except he was worried it was going to bite him in the butt, so he threw Joker under the bus before he would get blamed. So then the Joker gets canned, and he's just having it really bad, and he's having a bad run of things. And I'm not sure about the order of this, but eventually he does try to do his own stand-up at I would assume it's a amateur hour where anybody can get up. And he has a really difficult time. He's so nervous, it comes out as laughter. And first of all, Phoenix's performance he really sells it well. Can't stop the laugh. Like the laugh keeps bubbling up. And he kind of grabs himself by his chest or throat to try to bottle it back down. But it takes him a long time to get it under control. But it, to me, felt very believable that kind of disability or whatever condition could exist. So when he gets up on stage, he's dealing with that. It takes a long time for him to calm down. And then his jokes are not good. He goes on his train or whatever, the subway. That's what it is. And these three well-off, yuppie kids come in and they're harassing everybody on the train. Like there's a young woman on there. The Joker starts laughing. I personally think it's a manifestation. What happened is he's uncomfortable about these guys picking on this woman, and he wants to do the right thing and like stop it, but he doesn't know what to do, and he's nervous. So he starts laughing like he does, and the girl heads out because the guys get more focused on the Joker. They go over, start beating him up, and then the Joker, his gun goes off, and he shoots two of the guys, and they die. The third guy starts fleeing the train, and he gets winged, and he tries to get out. He eventually does, but the Joker's following him, and the Joker guns him down while he's trying to climb up these steps. And then the Joker goes off into the night. And somewhere along, like later, the Joker reveals that he thought having murdered those people, he would be stressed like most of us would. Like that, I can't imagine if I killed somebody, then you gotta sleep the next day or whatever. But apparently, the Joker has a big realization that it didn't even really bother him. I think it also is a moment where he starts to realize he feels differently than other people, not just in his sense of humor. Like he goes to nightclubs to try to take notes of comedians that are getting laughs, and he's starting to put together that, like, you can notice, and he notices that the audience laughs and he doesn't. He laughs and the audience isn't laughing at the comedian he's watching. I like this also because this is matching what I would consider the Joker story, where he wants to be a comedian but has failed at it. And so what else? He goes on to, let's see here. The police start investigating and looking into this. They find out that witnesses or whatnot think it's a masked clown. So since it also turns out the three people he killed are employees of Wayne Enterprises, and Wayne Enterprises has a very good public image, just like Batman, like the superhero that would eventually emerge. Like they try to help the downtrodden and everything. So if you're basically connected to Wayne Enterprises, you've got the benefit of the doubt that you're the good guy, and no one knows that these three guys were picking on him. They just assumed that they were in the successful, ambitious, helpful people that were killed by some murderous clown. And the clown can only be construed as a bad guy, except that the general public, the underprivileged, view this mysterious clown figure as like their kind of representative. Like he's there trying to help them combat the realities that they're dealing with every day, and they should stick it to these rich people that don't care and exploit them. It's that idea. And that starts becoming like a movement. Like there's like a protest going on in the city, and this particular day everybody's dressing up as a clown for it. And as this is going on, the kind of the sort of background, the Joker starts to become more confident in himself in the role or psyche he should embrace, in my opinion. And he's still kind of dodging these cops. And then at some point, his mother that he's taking care of, played by the older woman from American Horror Story that often has red hair in the show. I think she may also be from 6 Feet Under. But anyway, she tells him this story that he's actually the son of Thomas Wayne. And so that like an agreement was made, and she was paid a lot of money to keep it a hush-hush because, they've got this big reputation. So that occupies Joker for a while, and he goes to Wayne Manor, finds Bruce Wayne, like happens to be near the gate, and the kid's like maybe 10, and they interact, and then eventually he stalks Thomas Wayne at like it was a Charlie Chaplin movie was being played, and confronts him in the bathroom, like, the whole, oh, you're my father, I know the story. And Thomas Wayne's like, no, your mom was nuts, she made that up, she doesn't know what she's talking about, that kind of stuff. So that prompts And he also tells him that she was a patient at Arkham Asylum. Which, of course, if you can bring Arkham Asylum in, that shows you've got some research behind you for a Batman story. So good job. So then he goes to Arkham Asylum and he's able to steal. I'm not going to get into the whole process of it, but he grabs the folder on his mother because the guy that's got it won't reveal it because he'll lose his job because of confidentiality and all that. So he runs off, finally gets a chance to look at this folder. Now, before I get into this folder, what I really like about this fact that he steals the folder is that, someday when Batman's running around and he wants to learn more about this guy that was the Joker, or is the Joker, he's not going to be able to find that crucial folder because it's been stolen by him in advance. I thought that was pretty cool for anyone that didn't pick up on that. Maybe now you do. But the Joker finds out that he is the adopted son of this woman. He wasn't born by her. And she had an abusive boyfriend in his youth that she allowed the man to beat her and her son, or the adopted son. I would assume the Joker has repressed memories and doesn't remember any of this because he doesn't seem to indicate he does. But there's like writings in the articles that the man would chain him to a radiator and beat him, and God knows, I mean, all your worst things, head trauma. That's why he has this issue where he laughs uncontrollably at awkward moments. But he's been taught that it's like a disorder he has, where I get the impression that he thought it was like he was born that way and finds out that his mother allowed this to happen to him. As this is going on, he's still getting pursued by the police, and he eventually his mother has a stroke because the police interrogate her, basically. They just ask a few questions. She's not in the best of health already, and she gets taken to the hospital, and he's there, the Joker's there, and the police use that as an opportunity to try to talk to him some more. He's frustrated to learn that they basically created her stroke, but then he learns about what she allowed to happen to him, and then he goes to the hospital and smothers her and kills her, obviously. So then at this point, the police are coming down on him because it's all connecting. He's got the guy, two of the dudes he used to work with, like one's like his supervisor is this little person, and the other is this guy that forced the gun on him, basically. And earlier in the movie, in between when he gets the gun forced on him, and after he loses the job, the Joker even says to him that he still owes him for that gun, and everyone knows what that means. So these guys come to the apartment with like a bottle of some kind of alcohol because they heard about the mother dying and they felt bad for him. And apparently the guy that plays the little person, he truly has always been nice to the Joker. The other guy has obviously not been so nice to him. It's still unclear to me as to what he was doing. Maybe he was just trying to make sure the Joker wouldn't implicate him further. But they don't realize that he's the clown that's killed people yet. Well, they're about to, because the Joker uses this as an opportunity. He's already put himself in makeup now, and he's just chilling in his house. And actually what he's doing, and I'm sorry I forgot this, he's rehearsing because he actually got called by I'll call it the Robert De Niro show. The character Robert De Niro plays, they call him and want him on the show because they got footage of his attempt at the amateur comedy hour, and apparently got a lot of interest, and so they want him on the show. Anyone in the audience can figure out what's going on. He's going to be brought on there to be made fun of, not because he's actually funny. So the Joker's planning how he's going to go up there, and he's in full makeup. He's mourning his mother, he actually reveals to his former coworker and boss that he's like happy, which they start being like, oh, something's wrong here. The Joker takes like a knife or something, or some kind of pen or something, and stabs and kills the guy that forced the 38 on. It's really bloody and gory. The little person is backed into a corner, and he doesn't try to run out of the apartment, which seems a little odd. And he's just there, and you're like, oh no, he's a witness. He's done for. But the Joker lets him leave, and even tells the guy he's the only person that was ever nice to him, and that's why he's letting him off the hook. There's a really awkward moment because, you're like, oh man, the Joker, you can't always trust what he's going to say. like, is he going to kill this guy the second his back's turned? What's going on? Well, the little person, he walks over to the door finally, and you're dreading it the whole time. And he can't get out the door because there's the chain, the deadbolt up above that he cannot reach. But he has to ask the Joker for help. The Joker helps him out. He lets him out. But that's a tense scene. And I was hoping he wouldn't get killed, but I was thinking he would. Anyway, so I also look at that as probably the last decent thing Joker does before going fully transformed. Then at this point, yeah, he's got a dead guy, blood all over the place in his apartment. His mother's dead. The cops were already catching on to him. At this point, he doesn't have much time before the police are after him. So this happens to be the day he's going on to the show, and it's also the day this clown protest is going on. So he goes out in full clown makeup. The police are on the way. They see him as he's going down the street or down these steps, and he runs and bolts. They chase him. He gets onto a subway car, and they're trying to find him, but there's clowns all in all the cars in various makeups or masks. He steals one of the generic masks and puts it on and creates a fight in the process, because somebody gets shoved when he steals the mask. The guy thinks somebody else stole the mask, and chaos erupts. The police get caught up in it, and then with all the stuff going on, the general public does not like the police anyway, because I believe they're extension, law is being heavily scrutinized by the chaos of that the underclass are in. So then the shots go off and the cops get killed and the Joker gets away. He goes finally up to the Robert De Niro show, and they get through the whole, he meets the guy. They go through a few of the rules that he has to abide by, like you can't have bad language or, the usual stuff, violence. So the Joker he's in full Joker makeup, and he explains this is not in reflection of the protest or anything. This is just part of his act, basically. He gets on there on the couch and is talking to the host and everything, and they have him try to tell some jokes. No one laughs, obviously, because they're not good jokes at all. It's he tries a drunk driving joke, which they get upset with because that's not PC, and then that leads him to finally what he's been planning the whole time. He comes out and he confesses to being the true clown killer. And by this point, he's told De Niro to introduce him as the Joker. That's who he is. He admits to being the guy that killed the 3 Wayne Enterprises employees. And De Niro thinks he's joking around in bad taste at first until he can confirm that the guy's being serious. Joker's being serious. Then he goes on and De Niro's trying to put him on the spot, make him feel like a piece of junk and a bad person, you're in the wrong, all these reasons. And then that's when the Joker is look, he's talking about comedy being a point of view, and it's all subjective. And basically the Joker sees the world differently than most other people, and he's tired of things going the way they are. And he says all this stuff, which leads all the clown revolt, or whatever you want to call it, or movement, gets brought to a frenzy. They go in, he then shoots De Niro once in the head, I believe. This is all on live television, and then he gets up and then shoots him 2 or 3 more times, and then he runs out of bullets. And he's about to say something on the TV, and then they cut it so that it's no longer being televised. And then the rebellion begins. The next thing you see really is the Joker is in the back of a squad car, and which I did because it's not like he went out fighting or whatever. He didn't care. He's gonna get captured, and there's looting and rioting or whatever all in the streets with people dressed up as clowns, tearing things up, blowing things up. And a hijacked ambulance runs into the police car, knocking it out. And some guys dressed up as clowns come out and carry the Joker out of the car and leave him on the hood. And eventually the Joker wakes up, and he's been abused his whole life. One of my favorite parts in the movie is when the Joker's realizing who he is. And I believe he tells his mother this just before he kills her, is that he hasn't had a single minute of happiness his entire life. And after you learn about his history and everything, it's like, yeah, he's not lying. That's what he's been dealing with all this time. But as he's like about to wake up and become the Joker, and like all his people, his followers, like he's always got those weird people that will do anything he says because they view him as some kind of leader or role model. That's going on, but at the same time, they cut to a showing of Zorro, which any devoted Batman fan knows what that is. The Waynes are coming out of it, and there's all this rioting going on, and they try to go down the back alley, and then one of the generic Jokers, we could call it Joe Kill, like that's who it should be, comes along and stops them. We all know what's happening. The parents get killed. They have the classic pearls getting pulled and dropped in the street, and then the guy runs off after killing him, and Bruce Wayne's standing there in tragedy, becoming the Batman, even though he doesn't know it yet. Even though we won't see it, but it's all linked. Like the Batman and Joker have always had like this. They're connected in some way. In one way or another, one creates the other. The city creates one, and they create the other, and it's like a cycle. So I really like that they brought that in. I was really worried they were going to have the Joker kill Thomas Wayne directly. I actually like this version because it's not the Joker, but it's someone that represents the Joker, which would really mess with Batman later. But that's pretty much it. I liked it. It's one of those movies that I classify great movies in two ways, really. There's the kind that I'll watch over and over and over, like The Empire Strikes Back. And then there's the kind that are really well made, and I'll watch it once and I'll be like, wow, that was really, really good. The acting was great, but I don't really know if I need to see it for who knows how long. And I would say this is like that. Kind of like how I view The Winter Soldier. I think The Winter Soldier is one of the best Marvel movies, but I don't really feel the need to rewatch it a whole lot. But that's it. Let me know if you had any thoughts on that. I should probably film my face or something like that, but I'm vain or whatever you want to call it. Thanks for watching.